Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Rutamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtaki Mama Jnanatimrandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्यति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, 329-24. Amuchavachair dravyaihi kriyayotpannayanaghe naiva tushyer chitor chayam grutagrama vamaninaha. My dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. So the same thing about respecting everybody else, mm, recognizing the presence of the super soul in every jiva is being highlighted. There are 64 different prescriptions for worship of the deity in the temple. There are many items offered to the deity, some valuable and some less valuable. It is prescribed in Bhagavad Gita, if a devotee offers me a small flower, a leaf, some water, or a little fruit, I will accept it. The real purpose is to exhibit one's loving devotion to the Lord. The offering themselves are secondary. If one has not developed loving devotion to the Lord and simply offers many kinds of foodstuffs, fruits, and flowers without real devotion, the offering will not be accepted by the Lord. Actually, as I am reading this, I am trying to reflect my own. Actually, are we doing things with loving devotion? Or are we doing things mechanically for the service of the Lord? At least to me, it looks like I am doing things mechanically. So unless we have developed loving devotion to the Lord, Lord doesn't accept our offering. So till we offer with love, that offering is accepted by Lakshmi Narayana. Only when we offer with love is it actually accepted by Radha and Krishna. Because all that Krishna wants to see in the devotee is loving devotion. So we have to be conscious. We have to try to serve Krishna with devotion, with love. We cannot bribe the personality of Godhead. He is so great that our bribery has no value. Nor has he any scarcity since he is full in himself. What can we offer him? Everything is produced by him. We simply offer to show our love and gratitude to the Lord. Initially, even if we don't have love, we should at least have gratitude. Oh Krishna, you are giving all this so mercifully to us. So this is just an offering of gratitude towards you. Subsequently, love can come. But eventually, love has to come. This gratitude and love for God is exhibited by a pure devotee who knows that the Lord lives in every living being. So the expression of gratitude is also recognizing the presence of the Lord in every living entity. As such, temple worship necessarily includes distribution of prasada. It is not that one should create a temple in his private apartment or private room, offer something to the Lord, and then eat. Of course, that is better than simply cooking foodstuffs and eating without understanding one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. People who act in this manner are just like animals. But the devotee wants to elevate himself to the higher level of understanding must know that the Lord is present in every living entity. And as stated in the previous verse, one should be compassionate to other living entities, which means preaching, which means distributing prasadam, which means distributing books. A devotee should worship the Supreme Lord. This is the Madhyamadikari. Be friendly to persons who are on the same level and be compassionate to the ignorant. So when we exhibit these qualities, we come to Madhyamadikari level. One should exhibit his compassion for ignorant living entities by distributing prasada. Distribution of prasada to the ignorant mass of people is essential for persons who make offerings to the personality of God. Or we should try and distribute prasada as much as possible. We should not deny anybody prasadam. If somebody comes to our temple center to directly for prasadam, no problem. It is mercy. It is still mercy. We can slowly talk to them. See, we should understand that for somebody to be able to chant, hear, etc., it requires a lot more purification. And the path to purification is prasadam. So when these people who are not yet so qualified, who don't have taste in all these activities, they simply take prasadam. Over a period of time, the taste develops and they will pick up chanting. I've seen this in our temple for many years. One like middle-aged man used to come, little bit mentally not stable. He used to come every day. I used to see him every day. He used to take prasadam. And now, after so many years, the other day I was so happy to see him. He was holding one chanting mala and he was sitting and chanting. Even if he's chanting one round, for him it's a great mercy because otherwise he wouldn't have ever been able to chant Hare Krishna's name. And I think it's just because of prasadam. He used to just come at prasadam time. So we should never deny this mercy to anybody. Real love and devotion is accepted by the Lord. Many valuable foodstuffs may be presented to a person. But if the person is not hungry, all such offerings are useless for him. Similarly, we may offer many valuable items to the deity. But if we have no real sense of devotion and no real sense of the Lord's presence everywhere, then we are lacking in devotional service. In such a state of ignorance, we cannot offer anything acceptable to the Lord. So, how serious this is? See? We have to do with loving devotion. Also, we have to see the Lord's presence everywhere. Lord's presence everywhere. This is so critical. Archadavarchaye tavad Ishwaram mam swakarmakrit yavanna veda swahridi sarvabhuteshvavasthitam. Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Person of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well. Worship of the deity of the Supreme Person of Godhead is prescribed herewith even for persons who are simply discharging their prescribed duties. There are prescribed duties for different class of men, Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, and for different ashramas, Brahmacharya, Grastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. One should worship the deity of the Lord until one appreciates the presence of the Lord in every living entity. In other words, one should not be satisfied simply by discharging his duties properly. He must realize his relationship and the relationship of all other living entities with the Supreme Person of Godhead. So, if we might be doing deity worship, but if you have not realized this, that means that we are really not doing deity worship. Hmm. So we have to continue to do deity worship, and we have to come to this stage of actually realizing our relationship with Krishna, realizing other relationship of other living entities with Krishna. If he does not understand this, even though he discharges his prescribed duties properly, it is to be understood that he is simply laboring without profit. So very, very important. So this consciousness, that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, Jiva Himsa, it's one of the uh, things, the obstacles to bhakti. Jiva Himsa means just simply not recognizing the Lord's presence in other jivas. The word Swakarmakrit in this verse is very significant. Swakarmakrit is one who engages in discharging his prescribed duties. It is not that one who has become a devotee of the Lord or who engages in devotional service should give up his prescribed duties. No one should be lazy under the plea of devotional service. One has to execute devotional service according to his prescribed duties. Swakarmakrit means that one should discharge the duties prescribed for him without neglect. Yeah, so we should prescribe our duties without neglect. But at the same time, it's not like we remain stuck. We have to move, which is the reason why we have to move ashramas. Because if you are remaining in grasta all our life, then we'll be doing prescribed duties all our life. Then what about time for bhakti? So hence we have to transition ashrama. But when we are in grasta, we should do our duties diligently. We should do our duties, but at the same time, not that we give all our time for our duties only. Oh, I have to work. Okay, 15 hours I work in a day, and I don't have time to chant Hare Krishna. And then it's useless. Hmm. न उत्पादयति यदि रतिम समयेव हि केवलम Bhagavatam first canto says. Uh, if the vritti doesn't uh, utpadayat doesn't arise, doesn't result in ratim, attraction to hearing message of Krishna, samayeva hi kevalam, simply waste of time. So our prescribed duties cannot take us away from Krishna. That is the whole point. As long as our prescribed duties are allowing us to remain in touch with Krishna, then it's good. And then eventually we should come out of the need to perform prescribed duties, which is ashrama change. Finish grihastha, take up vanaprastha, then no prescribed duties, only devotion. Atmanascha parasyapi yakkarotyantarodharam tasya bhinnadrisho mrityur vidadhe bhayamulpanam. As a blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. Oh, so dangerous. Hmm. Lord is saying, I cause great fear. So we should not make this discrimination. He's saying even the least discrimination. Prabhupada is saying least discrimination. Which means that we should see everybody on the spiritual platform. No, not even discriminating our children, my family, and treat others differently. There are bodily differentiations among all varieties of living entities, but a devotee should not distinguish between one living entity and another. On such a basis, a devotee's outlook should be that both the soul and the supersoul are equally present in all varieties of living entities. So, like I said, with other jivas, lower like animals, birds, etc., we can be merciful to them, let them live their lives, give them prasadam. Mm, uh, no concept of pet in the Vedic civilization. Vedic civilization, pet means there are animals outside. Those animals are fed by some grastas. That's all. That is pet. Mm. So that much compassion to lower jivas. and with other human beings without discrimination, without the least discrimination, dealing with everybody equally. Otherwise, Lord Himself is saying, I cause great fear. Hmm. अथ मां सर्वभूतेषु भूतात्मानं कृतालयम् अर्रयेद्दानमानाभ्यां मैत्र्याभिन्नेन चक्षुषा. So many verses Lord is highlighting this need for non-discrimination. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention as well as through friendly behavior, and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me, worship me, who abide in all creatures as their very self. So by dealing with everybody, by giving gifts and giving attention to people, uh, showing friendly behavior, viewing all alike, one should propitiate me. I think propitiate means worship. Please the Lord, appease. I should please the Lord. So please remember this. So we are living a very self-centered life, and Kapil Muni here is very clearly saying that we should see all jivas equally. We should also not only just see them equally, we should give them gifts, we should give them attention, we should show friendly behavior. By doing that, one pleases the Lord. It should not be misunderstood that because the super soul is dwelling within the heart of a living entity, the individual soul has become equal to him. The equality of the super soul and the individual soul is misconceived by the impersonalist. Here it is distinctly mentioned that the individual soul should be recognized in relationship with the Supreme Person of Godhead. The method of worshipping the individual soul is described here as either giving charitable gifts or behaving in a friendly manner, free from any separatist outlook. Separatist means again seeing them differently, discriminating. The impersonalist sometimes accepts a poor individual soul as being Daridra Narayana, meaning that Narayana has become poor. This is a contradiction. The Supreme Person of Godhead is full in all opulences. He can agree to live with a poor soul or even with an animal, but this does not make him poor. There are two Sanskrit words used here, mana and dana. Mana indicates a superior, dana indicates one who gives charitable gifts or is compassionate towards an inferior. Mana means giving respect to a superior or giving offerings to a superior. Dana means giving offerings to an inferior. We cannot treat the Supreme Person of Godhead as an inferior who is dependent on our charitable gifts. When we give charity, it is to a person who is inferior in his material or economic condition. Charity is not given to a rich man. Similarly, it is explicitly stated here that mana, respect, is offered to a superior and charity is offered to an inferior. So, for example, if a sannyasi comes to the temple and we are uh, we should try to offer mana to the by collecting Lakshmi. We are offering mana. We are not offering dana. We are offering respect to that person for that person's service. The living entities, according to different results of fruitive activities, may become rich or poor, but the Supreme Person of Godhead is unchangeable. He is always full in six opulences. Treating a living entity equally does not mean treating him as one would treat the Supreme Person of Godhead. Compassion and friendliness do not necessitate falsely elevating someone to the exalted position of the Supreme Lord. We should not at the same time misunderstand that the super soul situated in the heart of an animal like a hog and the super soul situated in the heart of a learned Brahmana are different. They are not different, they are the same. The super soul in all living entities is the same personality of Godhead. By his omnipotency, he can live anywhere and he can create his Vaikuntha situation everywhere. That is his inconceivable potency. Therefore, when Narayana is living in the heart of a hog, he does not become a hog Narayana. It's always Narayana and is unaffected by the body of the hog. So importantly, mana and dana. Very importantly, we should give dana to others, give attention, show friendly behavior, view everybody alike, and thus please the Lord. Jiva Shrestha Hya Jivanam tata prana bhrutasubhe tata sachitta pravaras tataschendriya vrittayah. Living entities are superior to inanimate objects, O blessed mother, and among them living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. So now Kapila Muni is saying how we should gradation of different jivas. In the previous verse, it was explained that living entities should be honored by charitable gifts and friendly behavior. And in this verse and in the following verses, the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as super soul. But does this mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasada. The many saintly persons in the jungles do not treat the tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasada foodstuff to them. The tigers come, take the food and go away, just as the dog does. According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house because of their uncleanliness. Cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman, but are so trained that they stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasada to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but this does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. You see, this is so difficult to understand. Feeling of equality must be there means we should see the soul, but when we are treating, we should treat them discriminating. But we should not ill treat anybody. That's the whole idea. We should treat them nicely according to their position. Just how discrimination should be maintained is given in the following six verses concerning the different grades of living conditions. First division is made between dead stone-like matter and living organism. Living organism is sometimes manifested even in stone. Experience shows that some hills and mountains grow. This is due to the presence of the soul within that stone. Above that, the next manifestation of the living condition is development of consciousness. And the next manifestation is development of sense perception. So first is no consciousness exhibited, no sense perception. Next, consciousness exhibited, then sense perception is exhibited. In the Moksha Dharma section of the Mahabharata, it is stated that the trees have developed sense perception. They can see and smell. We know by experience that trees can see. Sometimes in its growth, the last tree changes its course of development to avoid some hindrances. This means that a tree can see, and according to Mahabharata, a tree can also smell. This indicates the development of sense perception. Tatrapi sparsha vedibhya pravrarasa vedinah tebhyo gandhavidashreshtas tatashabda vidovaraha. Among the living entities who develop sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than those who have developed sense of smell. Better than them are those who have developed sense of smell, meaning better than those who have sense of taste. So first lowest is sense of touch, then sense of taste, then sense of smell. And better still are those who have developed sense of hearing. So first is touch, then taste, then smell, then hearing. Although Westerners accept that Darwin first expounded the doctrine of evolution, the science of anthropology is not new. The development of the evolutionary process was known long before from the Bhagavatam, which was written 5,000 years ago. There are records of the statements of Kapila Muni, who was present almost in the beginning of the creation. This knowledge has existed since the Vedic time, and all the sequences are disclosed in Vedic literature. The theory of gradual evolution or anthropology is not new to the Vedas. It is said here that amongst the trees there are also evolutionary process. There are the different kinds of trees have touch perception. It is said that the better than trees are the fish because fish have developed sense of taste. Better than fish are the bees who develop the sense of smell. Better than them are serpents because serpents have developed sense of hearing. In the darkness of night, a snake can find its eatables simply by hearing the frog's very pleasant cry. The snake can understand there is the frog, and he captures the frog simply because of its sound vibration. The example is sometimes given for persons who vibrate sound simply for death. meaning talking, talking, talking. One may have a very nice tongue that can vibrate sound like the frogs, but that kind of vibration is simply calling death. The best use the sound tongue and the sound vibrations to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That will protect one from the hands of cruel death, which is a very loaded statement, but Prabhupada, as a matter of passing, he just makes this statement, just protects us from hands of cruel death. It's not a simple statement, right? It shows the significance of chanting Hare Krishna. But yeah, the important thing here is the different gradations. Rupa Bheda Vidastatra Tataschobhayato Tataha Tesham Bahupada Shreshthas Chatuspadas Better than those living entities who can perceive sound, or those who can distinguish between one form and another, meaning sight. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth, and better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds, and better still are the human beings. Certain birds, such as crows, can distinguish one form from another. Living entities that have many legs, like the wasp, are better than plants and grasses which have no legs. Four-legged animals are better than many-legged living entities, and better than the animals is the human being who has only two legs. Tato varnascha chatvaras tesham brahmana uttamaha brahmaneshvapi bedagno yartagnobhyadikastataha. All the human beings, among human beings, the society which is divided according to the quality of work, quality and work is best, varnashrama, gunakarma vibhagasha. And in that society, the intelligent men who are designated as brahmanas are best. Among the brahmanas, one who has studied the Vedas is the best. And among the brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, one who knows the actual purport of the Veda is the best. So there's even classification among brahmanas. So system of four classifications according to quality of work is very scientific. This system, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, has now become vitiated as the present caste system in India. But it appears that the system has been current a very long time since mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Unless there is such a division of social orders, including the intelligent class, marital class, martial class, mercantile class, and laborer class, there is always a confusion as to who is to work for what purpose. That is why this Varnashrama is very important. Otherwise, one ends up doing somebody else's work. A person trained to the stage of understanding the absolute truth is a Brahmana, Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. And when Brahmana is Vedagna, meaning he understands the purpose of Veda. What is the purpose of Veda? Aham Veda, Ahmeva Vedyaha. Purpose of Veda is to understand the absolute. One who understands the absolute truth in three phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and who understands the term Bhagavan to mean the Supreme Person of Godhead is considered to be the best of Brahmanas or a Vaishnava. So Brahmana is best. One who reads, studies Vedas is better. One who knows the purport of Vedas is the best, who is a Vaishnava. Arthagnat samshayacheta tatashreyan swakarmakrit mukta sangastato bhuyan adogdha dharmamatmanaha. Better than the Brahmana who knows the purpose of the Vedas, he who can dissipate all doubts. And better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahminic principles. So somebody can just have enough knowledge to dissipate somebody's doubts. But if he's not strictly following Brahminical principles, then he's lower. Better than one who strictly follows Brahmin principles is one who is liberated from material contamination. And better than one who is liberated, meaning mukta, is a bhakta, is a pure devotee who executes devotion service without expectation of a reward. So amongst all jivas, ultimately highest perfectional Brahmana is the Vaishnava. Arthagna Brahmana refers to one who has made a thorough analytical study of absolute truth and who knows that the absolute truth is realized in three phases. If someone not only has this knowledge but is able to clear all doubts if questioned, he is considered better. Further, there may be a learned Brahmana who can explain clearly and eradicate all doubts. But if he does not follow the Vaishnava principles, then he is not situated on a higher level. One must be able to clear all doubts and simultaneously be situated in Brahminical characteristics. So Brahmana Diksha means not just wearing a Brahmana thread. It actually means displaying Brahmanical qualities. Shama, Dama, Tapa, Shaucham, Arjavam, Shanti, etc. Such a person who knows the purpose of Vedic injunctions, who can employ the principles laid down in the Vedic literatures, and who teaches the disciples in that way is called an Acharya. The meaning one has to follow Brahminical characteristics and who leads, teaches others also. He is an Acharya. Position of an Acharya is that he executes devotional service with no desire for elevation to a higher position of life. So Prabhupada is now defining Acharya in terms of devotion. But Acharya is anybody who teaches. The highest perfection of Brahmana is the Vaishnava. A Vaishnava who knows the science of the absolute truth, but is not able to preach such knowledge to others is described as being in the lower stage. One who not only understands the principles of science but can also preach is in the second stage, Madhyama Adhikari. And one who not only can preach but who also sees everything in the absolute truth and the absolute truth in everything. He is the highest class Uttama Adhikari. So if we don't preach, we remain in the lower stage. It is mentioned here that the Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. In fact, the highest stage of Brahminical perfection is reached when one becomes a Vaishnava. I think I'll stop here. Yeah. Okay. I think a lot of information. If there's anything anybody wants to say, that is pretty straightforward. Okay, we can close. Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitana bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Dandavata Pranam.